Okay, and we are now with my new friend Cody. Cody, thank you for having us.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming out here, man.
This is amazing. And listen, I already talked about the journey to get here. You took us on a tour. I just built my own Walther PPK, which is a total head rush.
Right? It is. It's a cool experience. I mean, that gun's been made nearly 100 years now, you know, and to kind of go through that like hand-built process really changes your perception on when you go shoot.
That's exactly what it is, because I've talked to people about, and I want to talk to you about this too, because you are the head of communications for Walther.
Yep.
So as part of communicating, I wanted to sort of tell the story of Walther through your eyes. And what you said was, well, that's adorable, David, but I think I could do one better. And you had me build a gun. By the way, I would have been fired off the line if they weren't patient with me. But I will say this, I do have a new appreciation for the journey of putting these things together, the artistry. I said something down below where I almost did it akin to watches, where you just look at the price tag and you look at a moment in James Bond. But when you put together a gun, you get an appreciation for complexity and simplicity coming together as one.
Yeah.
Is that something that the consumer sees?
It is, and I think, you know, we like to kind of nerd out about this a lot as a firearm company, but you know, when you get into it, people still need these. There's a purpose for them, right? So they, you know, just as a watch, it has to tell time. So it has to do that really good first, right? And then the more you start getting into these things is when you start getting into the ornate and the fine detail and stuff like that. Normally, if you look at the PPK and its silhouette and what it is as a gun, everything it's become is because of features and needs from an individual, you know? So the whole style of it still stems from it, and then you see the time frame that it takes to really put these things into fruition.
Yeah, and the intricacy too. I mean, there were springs that we were dealing with. Maybe you'll appreciate it. You know, the video that we took, some of the springs were so tiny, you almost needed certain magnifiers, and yet the people online, they're so intimate with this process, they have no trouble doing it.
Yeah, and it's cool. If you look at the older gun like the PPK, and then you look at modern manufacturing methods with like newer guns like the PDP or anything like that, we make guns nowadays to be easier to manufacture, right? But we as Walther, we still want to have that touch to this craftsmanship and this legacy that we have as a brand. So we put a lot of effort into that stuff, but yeah, that kind of going back to that steel frame, like hand built, just the history around that gun it's an experience like no other.
Yeah, so. It's interesting. What I kept going through my mind as I was building this, and even touring, you know, the factory and the manufacturing, is that Bond himself is a tool. He's an efficient, created tool, and it's very much like Walther. The PPK is an extension of that.
Yeah, they go together, right?
They do.
You know, and I think and Q said it best in one of the last Daniel Craig. You know, it's more of a personal statement. You know, and Walther really is that. We do that. Even our consumers that buy a gun, you go into there's cheaper options out there always, right? But when you buy a Walther, it's part of a culture and a legacy, and yes, it is a little bit of a statement, you know. So,
all right, but listen, you know my channel well enough. I mean, it is a James Bond channel. These are James Bond audience here. We've got to talk about the connection to James Bond. How many people out there engage with Walther for the first time because of James Bond?
A lot, and I will say myself included.
Is that right?
Yeah, the first time I ever bought a Walther was a Walther PPK because James Bond carried it. Yeah. And I was in college, and I got it right when I got out of college, and then I started to work at a gun store, and I remember people messing with me for carrying a Walther PPK, you know, and I was like, because there's modern things out there, but I was like, it's so cool, you know, and I really got into the brand because of that, and now it's kind of evolved into me being a pro competitive shooter, and now a part of the company itself, and because of that, you know, and I think you see a lot of that connection. It's always my elevator pitch, because in the gun industry, of course, everybody say Walther and everybody knows us,
right?
But when I go out in public and I travel internationally and stuff, they're always like, "What do you do?" And I always try to beat around the bush a little bit. I'm like, I'm in marketing. What do you market? I'm like, I'm guns, you know, and they always ask, and I say Walther, and they'll kind of look at me a little bit. And I'm like, oh, James Bond gun, and it's an immediate recognition.
It is
to the brand. Like I don't have to. Well, we got this 9mm and semi-auto. We're known for the optics. It's none of that, right? It's an immediate recognition of the brand.
It's almost like when you have a waypoint and people are like, I just don't understand when you live, and you say, oh, I live next to this artifact, and they're like, oh, I totally get it.
Yep.
It's that recognition. But with Walther, what's been interesting for me is my first purchase of any kind of gun was a Walther PPKs because of Bond. But I think it's an entry point.
Yeah.
Because what's happened here, and the reason I'm here in Arkansas right now with you, is because of the fascination of what else is there.
Yep.
So is there, I'll just say, kind of a jumping off point for I'll call myself a casual gun owner that wants a Walther PPK because of the historic aspect of James Bond.
Yeah.
Where do I go from here?
That's really, we push, and you see us as a brand, yeah, we do lean on, we don't officially say the official gun of James Bond. We don't. We
Right.
have a good relationship with that whole franchise stuff. That's not allowed. It's
Yeah.
not, we don't pay them money.
Nope.
It was written into the book. So yeah, we leave it at that,
Yeah.
right? And we have our goals as a company. We want people to be safe, efficient, great firearms owners and shooters. And so when we get into that, you see we start people off with PPK, but there's guns that you can go out on the range and train and shoot a little easier and things like that. And so we do push people into a little bit more if you go into like our PDP line, which is our flagship line, it's a
Right.
9mm, and you see everything around that's based around getting out on the range, training, being efficient, like a real, these things are still defensive weapons, and you have to treat them like that and with respect. And as much as like we love the pop culture aspect and how we get into it, it is still a real life conversation of this is a dangerous piece of equipment in the wrong hands. Right?
It's an important aspect. It's one thing that I've always felt, and I hope I never lose that, is this amount of respect for the fact that this is a weapon and for specific purpose. But one of the things that what I'm hearing from you is, and you could see it even on the floor, is about safety first. And the whole idea of do not purchase one of these to be like James Bond.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful entry point to create curiosity
Yep.
and to get into an incredible sport and aspect of this. But the safety aspects, all those things, you want to do that because you're not going to be like James Bond, whipping around a corner and shooting the iris of a camera or down a gun barrel.
Right.
But it kind of conjures up a question for me because one of the things I know that I've received a lot of questions about Walther is there's a history, so 1962 with James Bond, pretty much all the way through, even with No Time to Die.
Yep.
It's a heritage brand, meaning there is no licensing.
Nope.
You're not paying money and vice versa as
Yep.
far as using these things. This is something that they natural a kinship to the movies. What does that mean for the brand?
It means honesty and integrity because you see it. I mean, of course, I'm wearing Danner 007s. I'm wearing, I got the Inpeel sweaters. Right?
Yeah.
We buy those things as consumers because of that. But there's still a fact where you go in and they're like, well, they paid something, right? And Walther's always kind of had that legacy. It's written in. It's not because we throw money at it. We're a small company. I don't think we'd even have it, So, it's a good relationship, and I think that's what you see out of people nowadays. Is they want to see the truth and the honesty of behind why people carry things.
Right.
They don't want sponsors, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to see a sponsored ad for James Bond and Walther popping up on your page every 5 seconds. It is a true honesty piece of equipment in the 007 franchise.
Yeah, and you can feel the pride of it.
Yep.
I mean, just even kind of walking through and the pride of the people and what they're doing. It creates, and I've used this word not lightly, it creates a loyalty. And I notice that even with people that purchase Bond items, they become very loyal to the particular brands. And I feel like there's a loyalty to Walther in that regard.
There is, and you see that with a lot of our customers. And it really, we want to make sure we keep growing as a brand too, and new customers and existing and all that, younger demographics, whatever we can do, right? And that really does help us transition because people do come to see the PPK. And honestly, it's a $900 gun.
It's an investment.
And really, and so we want to make sure when you come there, like, Walther is Walther, right?
Yeah.
We make high-end, great guns, but there's still stuff, if you don't have that type of money, we still want to be able to service you as a Walther, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a key benefit to us. But kind of stepping into that culture and seeing it in that pop culture realm, helps drive them over to us.
One of the things that I've noticed working with and engaging on as a consumer, James Bond brands, even some of the luxury brands, is this whole aspect of customer experience and customer service. And I saw a lot of things on the floor that I had no idea about when I said, I was today's year old when I walked in, which is you guys take very seriously the fact that this is a lifetime guarantee, that you also have a 48-hour turnaround when something comes in to get it turned around, checked, QC'd, refired, and then back out the door. Why is that important to the brand?
Well, for one, because like I said, the sole purpose is a defensive gun, and if you make that investment, we want to make sure you're not out on the,
8 months without it.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's, none of us want to do that, even from my perspective or anything, right? So we try to solve that first. But really, when it comes down to it, we are still a premium brand, right? And firearms are so different. And we've talked about this before, is you buy a TV, you buy, any type of high-end product, and it goes down, a watch or anything, you send it off, you pay to have it repaired. Right? It's just kind of part of the deal. Or you throw it away. We're in such a throwaway culture now. Firearms are not like that. It doesn't matter if you spend $200 on it or $30,000 on it. Like, people expect it to last a lifetime. And be with them a lifetime.
And other lifetimes. I mean, these things become heirloom pieces.
We actually did a really great piece of, we do a big industry show called SHOT Show every year. And I actually brought in an artist named Joel Pilcher, and we did a nice piece where it was like an older man's hand, like passing down a PPK to a younger man's hand, and it really kind of encapsulated like what that is. People see these pieces as like, I want to give this down to my kids. And I have the same effect. I have guns that I'm like, I'll never get rid of this one, and it's for that fact. And I said, you spend $1,000 on a gun, it's a lot of money, but you spend $1,000 on a lot of other things, a phone, and when it's done, when the new one's out, you toss
you
it
got to trade it up, and, or you crack it. You're not going to crack these. All right, so here's how I'd like to sort of end this discussion, and it's sort of a big one, so no pressure. But you've got people watching, they're curious, they've seen, and by the way, we're going to be next after this, we're going to be shooting the guns that we've built, so we'll see how kind of a job I did. But more importantly, for those that are out there watching this and they're curious, they're not gun aficionados, they want to get into it and take baby steps. What would you suggest they do after this?
Yeah, this is funny, and I think this industry as a whole is really great about this. It's like, we're all pretty nice people, and we love to like help people out. And I will say that I've traveled the entire country. I've been to dang near every gun store in the U.S., but that is your sole source. It's the one thing, guns aren't really direct to consumer, right? You have to go there and fill out a background check at a gun store, right? 4473 is the process. And so you got to go there anyway if you're going to get a gun. But those guys there, they're passionate, they're ready to help, that's usually your source. And there's a lot of fun things. It's not all like crazy defensive stuff. There's competitive shooting, which is what I got into, which, I always laugh because sports, we all play sports in high school, and then you get out and you're like, well, sorry, you're too old now, and you don't get to play.
You hurt your knee.
Yeah, it's like, well, go take up golf. And I'm like, I'm not a golf, I'm not a golfer. So competitive shooting allowed me.
You can do that into your twilight, competitive shooting.
I get beat by 60-year-old men. So
just quick story, because I know he watches these things. My father-in-law, whose name is Mark Hazard, that's his nom de plume, because we can't say his real name, used to work for the government, etc. When he was doing training down in Georgia, he got dead-eye every single year. And he was well into his 60s, and now he's like 81. It's amazing.
It's really cool, because I really do consider this as like, once you buy it, it is a culture and a community. It doesn't matter what brand you buy or any of that bit. Of course, we prefer you at Walther, but really, like, once you get in, you'll notice, like, people are always like, man, you need to come try this. We'll do range night. And it is a really cool. I always tell people I don't really know somebody until I go out on range, because I can immediately tell, like, if they're willing to listen, or if they're willing to like learn about new things, or like, you kind of learn who people are out there on that.
It's funny you say that. I actually took a client of mine who had done shooting when he was young, and he was just kind of waxing poetic about it. I said, let's go to the range together. And so we went out in the range together, and he said it was better than a day of golf. Because we just sat there, they got a bite to eat, and this and that, and did a little shooting, a little talking. It's very social, and I will say this, because I know a lot of you are thinking about this. I still am very much a novice. Like, we're going to go on the range. I'm going to ask them, like, hey, am I holding it right? Do not be intimidated if you are new to this or you're standing next to somebody that's a competitive shooter and an expert, because they don't belittle you. They won't take the mickey out of you. It is a community.
Yep.
And I think the community wants people to understand and be embraced. So do not feel intimidated by the Codys of the world, is what I'm saying.
No, like I said, we want to help people
Yeah.
get into it, because I was a new shooter, and I remember, I was a terrible shot. And actually, a guy that works here now, he's godfather to my daughter, who moved up with me and took
Wow.
a job here too. I remember us sitting in the back working on the computer, and he was like, "Man, we should do competitive shooting." I was like, "Well, I don't know how to shoot I was not great." And we went out and did a competition. It was a local one. There was only 30 people out there, and I remember walking up not knowing anything, and every one of the guys on the squad were like, "This is how you do it. Try this, do that." Like, they helped me along that entire process.
That's amazing.
And now I look back, and now I try to treat every new shooter I see like that same manner. And everybody's like that. It's a cool industry, and everybody that gets into it, there's a reason why none of us leave.
Yeah.
You might see them bounce around in different companies, but nobody ever leaves this industry. They love it.
It's a huge testimony. Well, listen, the proof of the pudding is under the crust. So I'm going to get some eyes and ears, and we're going to do a little shooting. So we'll see you down there. Always fun when a bag falls out.
I don't. Dude, it's high on my list. I know.
That trigger, perfect. Let's try that again. Go find the dot, pull back till you feel that resistance. Break. Now try that again. Pull back till you feel that resistance. Make sure the dot looks like you're just gonna recoil, and then it's gonna come back in, and you're ready to go. So, get you all hot here. Eyes and ears, everybody good?
Yep.
All right. So what I'm gonna do is, we're just gonna practice the one shot first. So we're just gonna practice seeing the dot, getting our good stance here, and we're gonna go through our checklist, right? So stance is good, grip's good, presentation, dots on target, fingers on trigger, break, okay? And then we're gonna come off of it, and then we're gonna do that again. We're gonna go through that process one more time. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Just like that, okay? Nice, get that leg forward a little bit. So go through your process now.
Stance.
We're leaning on that left leg a little bit. Dots in the X. And then slowly pull that trigger back. There you go.
Okay, so the red dot
Yep.
is like, oh, there it is. Okay.
Yep, you see it now? Yeah, so red dot on there. Perfect. Now red dot, get it on the trigger. Now pull back till you feel that resistance. Now, all right, let's do that again. Nice, tight. I'm gonna go ahead and break it, okay? So nice, feel the resistance. There you go.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
Yep, try that again. Oh, keep that nice tight grip. Feel that resistance. There you go. Give me one more there. There you go. That's what I'm talking
You know what
about. And if your grip's not structurally there, a lot of times your body's still trying to figure out recoil, because it knows that it's going to go like this, and your body has to push it back down. So sometimes your timing is not right. You see a lot of people where they'll run dry, and they're like, click, and everyone's like, "Oh, hey, you flinched," and you're like, "Dude." So my body is telling me, as long as that kind of reaction comes after the shot break, that means I know recoil is coming, and I'm not just shooting and leaving it up here. My body is shooting and driving back down on the target there.
Right.
So now if if it's all at the same time, like kind of what you're doing right now in the beginning, that's what these exercises do, and the dot tells you that as well. So if you're target focused, you can watch what your dot does, and it's like
dipping.
It's like, it's an instructor on your pistol for you,
That's a great point.
Yeah. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'll go, dot's going to go up, and then you're going to drive it back down, and as soon as you see that dot break that top line, you're letting it go again.
Okay.
Okay. And ready to break that first shot. Nice, good break. 1, 2.
I'm going to do 1, 2 now.
Yep.
By the way, where did that one go?
There you go. Both in the black. Do that again. As soon as you see that dot fall in, let it break again. There you go. That was a dead center. Go ahead and finish that mag out. Give me one at a time until you run out.
You say one at a time?
Oh, that's not 2 at a time. Yeah, finish that mag. There you go.
A little sloppy.
lot better. Before you're... There you go. Nice. You're already there.
Okay.
You know? So that's the thing, is like, as we start moving that time down, you start getting into different qualification standards of like how quick you can actually be off of it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So let's do that again. Like I said, we're not concentrating on trying to like go real fast. We're just being efficient. Grab claw, 3 fingers are wrapped around the presentation. Okay? Go on the buzzer again. Perfect. Nice. Go ahead. Finger off the trigger. Identify the holster. Holster up. Perfect. 2.45. Perfect. Do that again. There you go, man. Perfect. Identify the holster. Holster up. Feeling good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cool. There you go. There you go. All right, finger. Out. And you're always working that safety, like non-stop. Like as I watch, as I come up, we're done. You know, so they're up, they're in a string of people. You know,
Yeah.
they're having them kind of be ready at all times, and
It's got like this?
just like that. Yep. And I'm kind of pulling that stock back into me, so you can lift up and just put your chin. I always tell people, and you'll see the dot, but keep connection right here.
Has the safety on?
Flip it off. So it's on right now. So it's ready whenever you are.
So is it?
And you could drop your eyes and look. You see, it's a little harder to. So you're gonna be like, yep, fingers down, grab shirt, lift the sternum,
Much
and it's gonna
easier.
be clear and consistent every single time, no matter what shirt you wear. So unless you're wearing a dress. Yes.
Then it's even easier.
Which, yeah. On, it's gonna be very, very slow, but very, very safe. Carry it like that. If you tried to carry this gun in single action with safety off, you're probably gonna shoot yourself in the crotch. You know, like it's too light and it's not dropped. You know, say that.
Yeah,
single
4 pounds of
action
accidental
mode there,
pressure,
so.
and then you're discharging the gun.
Oof, wow, okay.
So that's why like a lot of these new safe action triggers where it's the
So clear the shirt. And, you know, it's taken forever, but I just want to be gentle.
Yep.
Oh. All right, I am back from Arkansas. What a ride. So they gave me some goodies. Let's call them parting gifts that I wanted to kind of show off as part of the experience. First of all, I got this great Walther cap with the logo on it. Very cool. We'll be wearing that. This is particularly neat. So this is a hiking bag. It goes like right here, and it has an area for your weapon in the back. It's got places for different cartridges, ammo, supplies, but quite frankly, you could just use this for hiking. Again, it's got the Walther emblem on it, so really, really nicely based. And this is quite cool. So this is a hunting vest. Doesn't have to be for hunting, you can wear it around, but it looks very, I'll just say it, it looks very Roger Moore a la For Your Eyes Only climbing. You just do this, and this is a size small, which fits me well. But this, you might say, looks like an ordinary vest, very nice, very well appointed. However, it's got some secret moments. It has holsters, places for your pistols on either side that holds it in place, that conceals it. And then finally, I'm wearing one of these things because it's so comfortable, this lovely Walther Arms windbreaker, wind cheater, depending on what side of the pond you live on. But they also sent me something else. Now, two things they sent me had to go through what's called an FFL, or a Federal Firearms Licensee. And there is a local one, of course there is. They sent these two pieces to me because they are actually firearms. Now this first one is, you can see on the side there, if you've got eagle eyes, is their PDP. Now their PDP, this is the 4.8 9x19 one. This is made in Germany. And you're going to notice right away that the case itself, very nice case. This is the one that I was firing in that short little synopsis of me doing the quick draws and the firing. But these slats right here, these ridges, factor into the design of the gun, as you will see. So I haven't opened this since I received it from the FFL. We're going to take a look at this. And then we're going to, wow, okay. Well, it is covered in plastic, so you're not going to take a look. But what I'm going to do for me and for you is, very nice case, by the way. We're going to take a look at this gun and describe it a little bit. Why is it special? And why is it kind of the next generation, maybe, of P99 a la Tomorrow Never Dies? Multiple clips here. Let's take a look. So the PDP really came as a part of century of engineering passion, precision, and workmanship. And I have to tell you, innovation, because the whole idea of timeless innovation from Walther is about breakthroughs. And this is a breakthrough in an elite handgun. So it's basically something that it's groundbreaking. It's got advancements, and I want to talk about those because with revolutionary ergonomics, the super terrain slide serrations that you see, and a brand new performance duty trigger, it's probably the next evolution in world-class ingenuity, but it's also the next version of the more than famous P99 as we know it as Bond fans. So let's talk about the performance duty trigger. What is that? It's a brand new trigger. Walther, it's an improved trigger system, basically. It's shortened the length of travel and increased the tactile definition of the trigger brake. So what does that mean? The result, it's distinct, it's recognizable feel, it helps with repeat accuracy that's going to actually maximize confidence. But when you're ready to take the shot, this is the trigger that you want. And it's come through a lot of planning. The super terrain serrations, what is that? Those are what I mentioned is on the outside of the case as well, but it's basically a protruding serration on the slide, and it allows for quicker, more responsive hands-on engagement. If your hand is slippery, sweaty, muddy, you're going to be able to actually engage the pistol quicker than if the serrations were pushed in to the slide itself. These sit on the outside, so when you got to make it ready, you're going to feel the difference the instant you put your hands on it. And then it's got this performance duty texture. So the grip itself, it's a functional grip, of course, but it has a very aggressive surface, almost like a cat tongue proper grip surface. It's not going to rub you raw, but it's got this tetrahedron design. It's non-abrasive, so there's no irritation to the skin, but they pretty much push the boundaries of testing under harsh conditions. I hear that they tested this grip in rainfall, extreme heat, humidity, icy cold temperatures, thick mud, and this performance ready was the perfect grip. And if you lose the grip on a gun like this, your day is over quickly. So overall, this has a lot of tested, I'll just call them evolutions. You know, not even transformation, but evolutions in what this has become over time. Love it. So I'm digging that, and I can't wait to get to the range to practice. Practice is going to make perfect. I do want to get proficient with that PDP because it's a workhorse. But this next one is something near and dear because you may have seen a video of mine where I actually built one of only 7 people to do this at the Arkansas Walther Arms factory, built my own Walther PPK. And ladies and gentlemen, here it is. So we've got this on the side, Walther PPK stainless, .380 ACP. There we go. and let's take a look at it. So I'm opening it up, and immediately what I'm greeted with is this very cool, very compact case. Unlike the PDP case, which is a little bit of real estate, this is a very well designed case. Look at that. Look at that. So cool. I have not seen this since I built it. So here we go. First expectations. Oh, first of all, let's talk about this case itself. Blue velvet, absolutely looks beautiful, but look at that. Ah, mama. So that is the stainless steel. It's the black grips that I built this. I built this. Kind of proud. Well, helped. If you watch that video, it was helped significantly. But look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Nestled in that navy military blue, which makes it pop so extremely well. Yeah, that's nice. And again, absolutely beautiful. You can see the lines. We'll take a good close look at that. And as we're doing that, you know, one of the things I think is very special is this was sort of my little homage to a Timothy Dalton poster that he had from License to Kill, where he's shown with this same gun, really. But Bond never uses this particular one in the movie. Still, I wanted something very different than my Smith & Wesson Walther PPK that I have, the black one. I want to thank Walther for everything that they've done. I mean, they rolled out the red carpet, clearly, gave us a full tour, but they really just made everything very experiential, a learning program. Everything was very safe and understood. And I just love the way that they're leaning into the marketing of somebody like me who appreciates the heritage of Bond, is curious about their arms and their weaponry to further along my progression of understanding of that, but seeing it as a sport, maybe taking it to the range, having some fun. And I have to thank one other person, and that's Caleb Danielson. Because Caleb, Commando Bond, he really put all this together. He referred my name to Walther. He has worked with me in the past, but he's a fan. And he knew that together we could probably create some amazing moments hand in hand, excuse the pun, with Walther. And here we are. So again, thanks to everybody that made this happen. I'll leave you to it. Hope you enjoyed it. In the meantime, this has been David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. We'll see you all real soon. Take care. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond Experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.